Good evening, students. Coming to the new chapter, Neural Control and Coordination. This is the last chapter under your syllabus of your first PUC, Human Physiology, that is Neural Control and Coordination. Here you will be studying about the nervous system, okay, and the neuron, and how exactly the impulse is generated and how the impulse is carried or transmitted. You will be studying about this. Along with that, you will be studying the structure of brain in this chapter. Coming to neural control and coordination, we know there are number of physiological activities that is taking place in our body. What is the physiological function in our body? That includes digestion, respiration, circulation, excretion, then locomotion and movement. These are the different physiological activity, okay, or the different physiological functions that is taking place in our body. Now, all these functions, whether they are independent of each other or whether they are dependent on each other. Yes, all these are dependent on each other. That means if I respire, that means if I take up oxygen, only then the circulation, only then the oxygenated blood can be circulated throughout the body. What if I do not respire, or what if I do not take oxygen? Whether it is taken to oxygen can be, circulation takes place. Circulation takes place, but the oxygen it is not received by the cells and tissues, correct? That is why we say all the physiological functions, they are interrelated. Okay, only when this different organ system, they are interrelated, our physiological activity takes place. Okay, now we have two terms here. One is regulation and one more is coordination. Now, in simple, what is regulation? To balance, okay, we have different body function taking place, or we have a balanced body organization or the balanced body function. That means if any biochemical reaction has to take place, or if any hormones has to be synthesized, or if any biochemical reaction has to take place, what happens? It requires a particular temperature, particular pH, or any factors. Am I right? For any biochemical reaction, the factors are responsible here. That might be temperature. Only at the optimum temperature our enzyme become active, or only at the optimum pH our enzyme become active, correct? That means our body is regulated by someone. Our body has to be looked after by someone to have a balance. Am I clear? Regulation is nothing but in simple to balance. Is that clear? Okay. Now coming to coordination, here two or more organs interact with each other to perform a function. Okay, for example, our respiratory system, then we have a circulatory system. That means they are the two different organ system. They will be interacting with each other to perform a physiological function. That means if the cells require oxygen, first what happens, the respiratory system functions. It takes up oxygen by the process of inspiration. It will be transmitted to different parts of the body by the process of circulation. Okay, now if these two organs are coordinated, or if they are working together, only then what happens, the physiological function takes place, or the cells and tissues will be receiving the nutrients or the required respiratory gases. Is that clear? That process is called as coordination. What is coordination? Two or more organs interact with each other to perform a physiological function. Now, why these two or more organs has to interact with each other? In simple, just to maintain homeostasis. What is homeostasis? That is to regulate the body function. Okay, then we know if there is, irrespective of our surrounding or environmental change, our body is regulated. It maintains the constant functioning. Clear? ನಮ್ಮ ಸರೌಂಡಿಂಗ್ಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಏನೇ ಚೇಂಜಸ್ ಆದ್ರೂ ನಮ್ಮ ಬಾಡಿ ಒಂದು ಕಾನ್ಸ್ಟೆಂಟ್ ಫಂಕ್ಷನ್ ಅನ್ನ ಕ್ಯಾರಿ ಮಾಡ್ತದೆ. ದಟ್ ಇಸ್ ಕಾಲ್ಡ್ ಆಸ್ ಹೋಮಿಯೋಸ್ಟಾಸಿಸ್. ವಿ ಮೇಂಟೈನ್ ಅ ಕಾನ್ಸ್ಟೆಂಟ್ ಬಾಡಿ ಫಂಕ್ಷನ್. We call it as homeostasis. Okay? How this homeostasis is attained? By coordination. In simple, by coordination. Clear, Anna? Okay. Now, coming to the next one. Here, coordination mainly takes coordination is done mainly by two systems. One is our neural system and one more is our endocrine system. They are the one which helps us to maintain the homeostasis, or which helps us to coordinate the body organs. Here, ಎರಡು system coordination maintain ಮಾಡ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ help ಮಾಡ್ತದೆ. One is our neural system and another one is our endocrine system. Okay? Now, how our neural system provides an organized function? Okay, here what happens? We know in our neural system, it gives a point-to-point connection. Okay, if this neuron, consider this is one neuron, this is the next. Similarly, we have group of neurons. Okay, nerve fibrils. It form a nerve fibrils. If this neurons receives the signal, okay, it will be transmitted to the very next neuron. Okay, signal will be transmitted simultaneously. Okay, simultaneous agi signal ಏನಾಗ್ತದೆ transmit ಆಗ್ತದೆ here. That is what we say. They give the point-to-point connection. Okay, for why they have to send the signal one after the other? For what purpose? If I get a stimuli here, okay, there is a signal generated or the stimulus generated. As soon as the stimulus is generated, the signal is transmitted. Our brain will be receiving the signal, that is, someone has touched me. Okay, then the signal will be processed in the brain. Again, brain will be sending the signal. Why this signal is carried and brought back? To maintain coordination, to respond. Am I clear? Why we get that signal? Just to respond from our body. Here our neural system, why we say it is under coordination? Because in one place if we receive the signal, it is carried. It gives a point-to-point connection to maintain a coordination. Is it clear? Okay. And this neural control is more specific or very quick when compared to the other body function. Our nervous system works very quickly. ನಮಗೆ ಒಂದು ಸಿಗ್ನಲ್ ಒಂದು stimuli, if you touch a hot substance, suddenly you will remove your hand. Whether you wait for body to analyze that, to process that, ಅದನ್ನು wait ಮಾಡ್ತೀರಾ ನೀವು? ಏನಾದರೂ ಒಂದು ಬಿಸಿ ವಸ್ತು ಮುಟ್ಟಿದ ತಕ್ಷಣ ನೀವು ಕೈ ತೆಗಿತೀರಾ? ಹೇಗೆ ತೆಗಿತೀರಾ? Yes, reflex action. You receive a signal, suddenly it will be transmitted, our brain will analyze that and the reply will be sent. Clear, Vishnu? That is how you will be responding. Clear? That is what our neural system gives us a quick reaction. Is it clear? Then we have endocrine system. We have already studied about this endocrine system. Whether our endocrine system will be responding, it will be helping in coordination. Yes. Now in simple, if our digestive gland, if it has to produce a digestive juice, who has to give the signal, stimulate that? Hormone. Our endocrine system, that is wall of alimentary canal, has to send the signal, only gastrin. It has to release gastrin, only then our gastric gland synthesize gastric juice. That means your endocrine system also helps in coordination. Okay, they have to instigate, they have to send the signal, only then the body responds. Okay, that means they also has to be well coordinated. Is it clear? Now we'll study in detail, since we have already studied about the endocrine gland. Now we'll study in detail about the neural system. Okay, our human neural system. Okay, is it clear now? ರಿಪೀಟ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕಾ? ಇನ್ ಸಿಂಪಲ್ ನಾನು ರೆಗ್ಯುಲೇಷನ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಏನು, ಕೋಆರ್ಡಿನೇಷನ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಏನು. ಕೋಆರ್ಡಿನೇಷನ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ we have neural and chemical coordination. Where neural coordination includes our nervous system, chemical coordination includes hormones, our endocrine system. Yeah? Okay. Coming to the next one. That is our neural system. system mainly composed of what? Nerve cells. Which is the nerve cells? Neurons. It is mainly composed of neuron. Here, and why we say neuron as a structural and a functional unit of our nervous system? Why do we call it as structural and functional unit of nervous system? Because neurons are the one which detect and then which analyze and transmit the signal. They are the one which detects the signal, which receives and which transmits the signal. And they transmit the impulse or signal. That is why we say they are the functional, structural and functional unit of our nervous system, because neurons will detect the impulse, whether it is electric impulse or whether it is chemical impulse, okay, or whether the transmission, okay, whether it is the electric impulse or the chemical impulse, at first it will detect. It will receive. It receives both electric and chemical impulse and it transmits from one neuron to another. Yeah, that is why we say neuron is a structural and the functional unit of our nervous system. Okay, because they are the one which detects and receives and transmits the signal. Is it clear? Okay. Now coming to the next one, our neural system. When we compare the lower organisms, okay, in the lower organism, which is the first phylum, which shows our arrangement of our nervous system, Coelenterata, especially in Hydra. Okay, there are group of neurons, okay, group of nerve fibers togetherly forming a nervous. We cannot say it as nervous system. We can say it as a group of nerves which act as a nervous system. Okay. Then in the coming to next level of invertebrates, there you can see they will be having a nerve cells called as ganglion. Okay, and that ganglion cells, that is, it forms a nerve cells which is present in each segments of the body. Okay, body pratyonda segmentally they will be having the ganglion cells and they togetherly form a structure, ring-like structure called as brain. Clear? That happens in the invertebrates. Then in the higher organism, in our case, okay, that is in case of human beings, we have a well-developed nervous system. When we look after the lower to higher, in detail about it we'll be studying in your competitive part. Just for your theory, this is more than enough. In lower organism, we have neural cells present together. Then in the higher invertebrates, the ganglion cells are present, which acts as nervous system. And in the higher organism, that is, in case of human beings, mainly our nervous system includes two parts, which are there. Yes, very good. Central nervous system and peripheral. Yes. Peripheral nervous system. That is PNS, central nervous system and peripheral nervous system. Here, central nervous system includes which one? Brain and spinal cord. Central nervous system includes brain and spinal cord. And peripheral nervous system includes cranial nerve and spinal nerves. In simple, cranial nerves and spinal nerves. Simple ಆಗಿ ನೆನಪಿಟ್ಕೊಳ್ಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ cranial nerves and spinal nerves. Is it clear? Our human nervous system, mainly it is composed of central nervous system CNS and peripheral nervous system, that is PNS. Coming to central nervous system, in the central nervous system what happens, the signal what is received or impulse what is received by the central nervous system, it will be processed in the central nervous system. Any one the signal ಸಿಕ್ಕಿದ್ರೆ, if our brain receives the signal along the spinal cord, then what happens there, the processing of information takes place there, or what type of signal is received, whether it is stored in our memory, okay, that processing takes place in the central nervous system. Clear? The processing of information, our brain receives the signal, then what happens, the processing takes place in our brain and the spinal cord, that is central nervous system. Is that clear? Then Coming to peripheral nervous system, the signal is transmitted, that is either receiving or sending the signal. That work is done by peripheral nervous system. Is it clear? Our central nervous system, central nervous system, what happens? It includes brain and spinal cord. The image or any information that is received will be processed in the in the central nervous system, whatever the information is taken to the brain, there the processing takes place. Okay, processing of information takes place in the central nervous system, and the signal is transmitted, carried. Either signal is carried to brain, or from the brain the signal is carried back to the different tissues and organs. That transmission is done by peripheral nervous system. Is it clear? There are 12 pairs of, in humans there are 12 pairs of cranial nerve and 31 pairs of spinal nerves. Okay, how many cranial and spinal nerves are present? There are nearly 12 pairs of cranial nerve. Which are the that you study in their competitive part? There are nearly 12 pairs of cranial nerve and 31 pair of spinal nerve. Is it clear? Which is connected to different parts of our body. Okay. These peripheral nervous system, they consist of, since they have to transmit, receive and send back the signal, they consist of two types of nerve fibers. Okay. One is efferent nerve fibers. Yes, efferent nerve fibers, which are also called as sensory nerves. And we have efferent nerve fibers. Efferent nerve fibers that consist of motor nerves. Where you have studied about sensory and motor nerves? When studying the regulation of circulation, sensory nerves carries the signal from the heart to our medulla oblongata, and motor nerves gets back the signal, correct? We have studied in the circulation, regulation of circulation. Now, again, these efferent nerves, they help to carry the signal, okay, or they carry the signal from the different parts of the body, that is from the tissue or organ to which one? Central nervous system. Okay, if there is any stimuli, okay, ಯಾವುದೇ ಒಂದು external stimuli, if our body has got any stimuli, the signal will be carried by which nerves? Efferent nerve fibers to the brain or central nervous system. Okay, now tell me, what is the function of efferent or sensory nerves? They carry the information from the cells and tissues, or from tissues and different parts of the body to the central nervous system. They help to carry the information from brain in simple. Now tell me, what is the function of efferent nerve fibers? Yes, whatever the information is taken to the brain or central nervous system, there it gets processed, and the reply or the response is brought back by efferent nerve fibers from the central nervous system to tissues or organs. How we have to respond? That is sent by efferent nerve fibers. Yeah? The information is taken to brain by efferent nerve fibers. Brain sends the reply through efferent nerve fibers. Here, efferent nerve fibers are also sensory nerve fibers. Efferent nerve fibers are motor nerve fibers. Is it clear? This much is clear? Okay, central nervous system where the information is processed. Peripheral nervous system helps to transport the information here. Okay, and we have two types of nerve fibers: efferent nerve fibers and efferent nerve fibers. Efferent nerve fibers carry the signal from the tissue or organ to the central nervous system. Efferent nerve fibers, they get back the information from the central nervous system to different parts of the body, tissues or organs. Here, along with this, our peripheral nervous system. Okay, it is having further two divisions. They are classified as autonomic nervous system and somatic nervous system. They are divided as autonomic nervous system and somatic nervous system. Now, why there is further classification of peripheral nervous system is, we have few are voluntary muscles and few are involuntary muscles. For example, if I take smooth muscles of the vital organs, okay, internal organs of smooth muscles, whether they are voluntary or involuntary? Involuntary. For example, muscles of heart, lungs, or esophagus, there is internal organ, internal lining. All they are involuntary muscles. Now, if I take skeletal muscles, they are voluntary muscles. If I have to move my hands, that is in my control. Okay. If I have to walk, that is in my control. Correct. That means they are voluntary muscles. Now, if the signal has to be carried to involuntary muscles, that has to be carried by different types of nervous system. If the signal has to be carried to the voluntary muscles, then it has to be carried by different nervous system. That is why we have autonomic nervous system and somatic nervous system. Is that clear? Now, these autonomic nervous system, okay, this autonomic nervous system, they carry information to the involuntary cells. Tissues. Okay, to the involuntary tissues by the central nervous system. The signal is transmitted to involuntary tissues by central nervous system. Is that clear? Central nervous system sends the signal to the involuntary muscles by which one? Autonomic nervous system. And the central nervous system sends the information to voluntary nerve tissues by which one? Our somatic nervous system. Is it clear? The information to involuntary muscles is brought by autonomic nervous system. The signal is brought to voluntary tissues by the somatic nervous system. Here I can give example of transmission of signal to the wall of heart. Okay, heart to contract or relax, to regulate the rate of rate of heart rate, to increase the blood pressure or heartbeat. That means the signal will be sent by autonomic nervous system. For the skeletal tissues, okay, if the signal has to be sent to skeletal tissues, then it is sent by somatic nervous system. Is it clear? Clear with this? Okay. Our autonomic nervous system, further it is divided into two divisions. They have two nerve fibers which are there. We have already studied. Sympathetic nerve and parasympathetic nerve. When speaking about respiration, I have told they are the part of autonomic nervous system. Correct? Regulation, they are the part of autonomic nervous system. Our autonomic nervous system, that means they carry the information to which one? Which one? Involuntary muscles. Okay, involuntary muscles. We have sympathetic and parasympathetic nerves. Where sympathetic nerve, if anything has to be increased, for example heart rate, or when the body is under functioning, okay, complete functioning, then the signal will be sent through sympathetic nerve. And parasympathetic, when the body has to get back to the rest, okay, then the signal will be sent along the parasympathetic nerve. Okay, a sympathetic nerve, how the signal will be sent when the body is under working, completely functioning. Okay, then the signal will be sent. If the functioning has to increase, okay, body functioning ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಆಗಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ, then the signal will be sent among the sympathetic nerve. If it has to reach the resting condition, okay, we will say parasympathetic nerve is they help in housekeeping. What is the meaning of housekeeping? That is relaxed condition. Then the signal will be sent among the parasympathetic nerve. Now I'll tell you few functions of sympathetic and parasympathetic nerve. The sympathetic nerve, they help to increase the heart rate. If the heart rate has to increase, then the signal will be sent along sympathetic nerve. If the heart rate has to decrease, then who will get the signal? Parasympathetic nerve. Is it clear? Now, next one, pupillary dilation. If pupillary dilation, if our diameter of the pupil has to increase, pupillary dilation, ಏನೊಂದು ಭಯ ಆಗ್ತದೆ ನಮಗೆ, ಅದು ದೊಡ್ಡ ದೊಡ್ಡ ಕಣ್ಣು ಮಾಡಿ ಬರ್ತವಲ್ವಾ, the pupillary dilation, that if the pupillary dilation has to take place, then the signal will be sent by which nerves? Sympathetic nerve. Then what is opposite, antagonistic of pupillary dilation? Pupillary constriction. When we look at the object by pupillary dilation, after some time the pupil will constrict. Who will send the signal to constrict the pupil? Parasympathetic nerve. This helps in pupillary constriction. Is it clear? Okay, sympathetic nerve to increase the heart rate, parasympathetic nerve it decreases the heart rate. Then sympathetic nerve, they help in pupillary dilation, parasympathetic nerve pupillary constriction. Is it clear? Now sympathetic nerve they mainly they relax the urinary bladder. It helps in the relaxation of urinary bladder relaxation of urinary bladder, constriction of urinary bladder. Parasympathetic nerve for constriction of urinary bladder, sympathetic nerve for relaxation of urinary bladder. Sympathetic nerve, relaxation of urinary bladder, parasympathetic nerve, constriction of urinary bladder. Is it clear? And sympathetic nerve decrease the salivation, decrease the production of saliva. Parasympathetic nerve increase the production of saliva. Okay, sympathetic nerve decrease the production of saliva. If we look at any favorite food, what happens suddenly? Or if we remember the food, our favorite food, what happens? Suddenly there will be salivation. That is, our brain knows the taste of that. We have a memory of taste. Correct? If you look at the food for the first time, which you have never tasted, whether you start salivating? No, because we do not know the taste. We do not remember the taste. When we know the taste of some food, as soon as we hear about it, we start salivating. That means our brain gets the signal about that food. It recalls whether we have the taste of that food. Then the signal will be sent by parasympathetic nerve for salivating. Once you look at the food, once you salivate, whether it keeps on continuing, no, it stops after some time. Okay, that means again the signal will be sent by sympathetic nerve to stop salivating. Clear? Clear with this? This is about our nervous system, how it is divided or how it is classified. Is it clear? Okay. Now, in detail, we have to study about the neuron. We have studied how the signal. We'll study about the structure of brain data, and you know how it is transmitted. What type of a signal is transmitted by what type of nerve fibers. Okay, now you know it clearly. Want me to repeat? Clear? Okay. Now, then we'll study about the structure of neuron. Okay. About the neuron structure, ಮಾಡೋದಿದ್ದೀರಾ ಬೋರ್ಡಲ್ಲಿ ನೀಟಾಗಿ. ಮಾಡ್ತಿದೆ ಯಾರು ಡೈಗ್ರಾಮ್ ಗೊತ್ತಿದೆ ಮತ್ತೆ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಪೇರೆಂಟ್ಸ್ಗೂ ತೋರಿಸ್ಬೋದಲ್ವ ಡೇಟಿಂಗ್ ನಾ ಮಾಡ್ತೇನೆ ಬೇಗ ಆಗಬೇಕು ಚೆಕ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೇನೆ ಬೇಗ ಬೇಗ ಸ್ಟಾಪ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಇದೆ
ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್ ಕ್ವೆಶ್ಚನ್ ಕೊಡುತ್ತಿಲ್ಲ ಎಲ್ಲವೂ
Coming to the structure. Okay, coming to the structure of neuron. Mainly, it has cell body, dendrites, and axon or axon. neuron, it consists of cell body, which is also called as soma. Then we have dendrites and axon. Coming to cell body or the soma, which is the one regulates the controlling part of neuron. Okay, it is a controlling part of neuron which consists of this. Inside the cell body, it consists of cytoplasm with a prominent nucleus. Okay, which has a prominent nucleus, and this cytoplasm consists of endoplasmic reticulum, Golgi complex, ribosomes, and other cell organelles. Okay, the cytoplasm of cytoplasm of the neuron or the cell body, it also consists of Golgi complex, endoplasmic reticulum, and the ribosomes. And they also consist of the granules. The granules present here inside the cytoplasm. It is called as Nissen's granule. Okay, Nissen's granules are nothing but they are endoplasmic reticulum. They are endoplasmic reticulum along with the ribosomes. In simple, they are not endoplasmic reticulum. Endoplasmic reticulum along with the ribosomes. We call it as Nissen's granules. Their main function is for the protein synthesis. What is the main function? Protein synthesis and formation of nerve fibrils or nerve fibers. Formation of nerve fibers or nerve fibrils. Is that clear? Neuron, they have a cell body with a prominent nucleus, and the cell body consists of the Nissen's granules, special granules called as Nissen's granules, and the Nissen's granules are nothing but endoplasmic reticulum along with the ribosomes. And these Nissen's granules, their function is protein synthesis and formation of nerve fibrils. Is it clear? They help in the protein synthesis and formation of nerve fibrils. Clear, Vishnu? Okay. Now, coming to the next one, from the cell body, there arises a small fiber-like structure. They are nothing but dendrites. Okay. From the cell body itself, there are small fibers arising. And what is it called as? Dendrites. Okay, it is called as dendrites. These dendrites, what is the function of dendrites? Yes, it receives the signal. Okay, it detects and receives the signal or impulse which will be transmitted along the neurons. Okay, first signal and receive detect receive impulse that is dendrites. Okay, dendrites are the one which detect and receives the signal and it is transmitted along the neurons. Okay, those are called as dendrites. They are simple. The signal is passed from one neuron to another. The signal will be received mainly by the dendrites. Okay, then the number of dendrites may vary. It might be dendrites may be single or many dendrites. Okay, now from the cell body there is a long fibers arising and we call it as axon. Okay. Where exactly? From the cell body itself, there is a long fibers arising, and that long fibers are called as axon. What are they called as? Axon. Clear? And these axon, okay, which is present near to the cell body, they arise from the cell body, and they will be moving away from the cell body. Correct? The region where the axon is present near to the cell body is called as proximal region, and the region which is away from the cell body, axon region, which is called as distal region. Is that clear? Axon, cell body close by into them, that is called as proximal region where the cell body axon that is present near the cell body is called as proximal region, which is present away from the cell body is called as distal region. And proximal region, axon, it consists of axon hillock, and which is away, that is in the distal region, axon present, it is called as telodendrica. Is that clear? The region of neuron which is present in the proximal region, it is called as axon hillock, and it is away from the neuron. Okay, that is distal axon, it is called as telodendrica. Clear, Ishto? Clear, Ishto? Okay. Now, This axon hillock, it is very very sensitive and where the initiation of impulse takes place. Impulse initiate agodu. Okay, that is from the axon. Axon hillock. Okay, axon hillock mainly which happen nerve impulse initiation. Okay, initiation of nerve impulse. Initiation of nerve impulse. Clear? Axon hillock, they are very sensitive and initiation of nerve impulse takes place by axon hillock. And away from the axon we have telodendrica which carries the impulse to the nerve axon terminal. Is it clear? Okay. Now we have a elongated long fiber like structure that is axon which is close to the cell body. It is called as proximal end, which is away it is called as distal end. Proximal end which has axon hillock where impulse is initiated, and telodendrica is in the region of distal region of axon. Is it clear? Then at the end of axon, this is the end of axon region, it bifurcates into axon terminal. It gives rise to a branched structure and it is called as axon terminal. Axon terminal, and this axon terminal which is a branched structure. Okay, axon terminal is a branched structure. At the end of axon terminal there is a bulged structure or a bulb-like structure which is called as synaptic knob. Okay, there is a bulged structure, the bulb kind of structure is there. It is called as synaptic knob. Is it clear? Axon terminal, that is axon end which has a branched structure. What is it called as? Axon terminal. In the terminal is nothing but end. From the axon end there is a bulb-like structure arising. What is it called as? Synaptic knob. And inside that synaptic knob there is small vesicle-like structure which is called as synaptic vesicles. What is it called as? Synaptic vesicles. And now we know synaptic vesicles. Okay? And inside that synaptic vesicles there are neurotransmitters present. What do they have? Neurotransmitters. They have neurotransmitters. Is it clear? Neurotransmitters. There are mainly two types of neurotransmitter: excitatory neurotransmitter and inhibitory neurotransmitter. Excitatory neurotransmitter and inhibitory neurotransmitter. At the end of axon terminal that has a synaptic knob. Synaptic knob consists of synaptic vesicles. Inside the synaptic vesicles they have neurotransmitters. They are the chemicals which help in transmitting the signals. Okay, chemicals that helps to transmit the signal. Transmit the signal. There are two types of neurotransmitters. One is excitatory and one more is inhibitory. Okay, excitatory and inhibitory. Now, coming to the excitatory neurotransmitter, I'll give you example. They are acetylcholine. Acetylcholine, it is a excitatory neurotransmitter. And dopamine or serotonin, they are the inhibitory neurotransmitters. Okay, inhibitory neurotransmitter, and in detail we'll study about it later by transmission of impulse. Okay, but keep in mind neurotransmitters are of two types: excitatory and inhibitory. Excitatory we have acetylcholine and inhibitory dopamine and serotonin. Is it clear? This much is clear? Okay. Now along the axon. Okay, along the axon, they have cells called as Schwann cells. Okay, along the axon, there are cells present which are called as Schwann cells. In the peripheral nervous system, okay, that we know we have central nervous system and peripheral nervous system. In the peripheral nervous system, these Schwann cells secrete a layer of adipose tissue which is called as myelin sheath. Is it clear? Along the neuron, along the axon, what is present? Schwann cells. Okay, along the axon they have Schwann cells. adipose tissue or lipid sheath, and it is called as myelin sheath. Okay, it is called as myelin sheath. But in central nervous system, there are oligodendrocytes. Okay, oligodendrocytes. They produce this myelin sheath. Okay, in peripheral nervous system, who synthesize myelin sheath? Schwann cells. In peripheral nervous system, who will synthesize? In central nervous system, who will synthesize myelin sheath? Oligodendrocytes. Is that clear? ಇಷ್ಟ ಅರ್ಥ ಆಯ್ತಾ? ಪೆರಿಫೆರಲ್ ನರ್ವಸ್ ಸಿಸ್ಟಮ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಮೈಲಿನ್ ಶೀಟ್ ಸಿಂಥಸೈಸ್ ಮಾಡೋದು ಯಾರು? ಶ್ವಾನ್ ಸೆಲ್ಸ್. ಅದೇ ಸೆಂಟ್ರಲ್ ನರ್ವಸ್ ಸಿಸ್ಟಮ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಮೈಲಿನ್ ಶೀಟ್ ಸಿಂಥಸೈಸ್ ಮಾಡೋದು ಯಾರು? ಆಲಿಗೋಡೆಂಡ್ರೋಸೈಟ್ಸ್. ಇಷ್ಟೆಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ಅರ್ಥ ಆಯ್ತಾ? ಕ್ಲಿಯರ್ ಇಷ್ಟು? ಓಕೆ. ನೌ ಕಮಿಂಗ್ ಬ್ಯಾಕ್ ಟು our neuron, we know along the axon we have Schwann cells which synthesize myelin sheath. Okay. Now between this myelin sheath layer there is a node present. Okay, there is a node present and we call it as node of Ranvier. Okay, generally the impulse, when the impulse is transmitted, the impulse will be jumped from that gap junction. Okay, there is something called gap junction. Okay, that is also called as saltatory conduction. Okay, saltatory conduction. It is also called as saltatory conduction. There is impulse is transmitted among the myelin sheath. The impulse will be transmitted from one myelin sheath to the another. Okay, jumping ideyalla, it is or jumping or conduction of impulse, that is called as saltatory conduction. SAL, saltatory conduction. SALTATO, saltatory conduction. Clear now? Yes, myelin sheath. Between the myelin sheath there is a node present. It is called as node of Ranvier. Here, if the neuron has this myelin sheath, the signal will be jumped from one after the other, the myelin sheath. That conduction is called as saltatory conduction. Clear? It is called as saltatory conduction. Now, based on presence and absence of this myelin sheath, there are two types of neurons. One is myelinated and non-myelinated neurons. Sorry, unmyelinated neurons. Myelinated and unmyelinated neurons. Now tell me, what are myelinated neurons? Yes, if the neuron, the axon region, if it consists of myelin sheath, then we call it as myelinated neurons. And this myelinated neurons are generally present in the central nervous system and the peripheral nervous system. Okay, myelinated generally central nervous system and the peripheral nervous system. Then tell me, what is unmyelinated neurons? Which do not have myelin sheath, especially present in the somatic nervous system and autonomic nervous system. Somatic nervous system and autonomic nervous system. Clear issue? ಅರ್ಥ ಆಯ್ತಾ? Unmyelinated. Myelinated and unmyelinated. What is myelinated? If they have myelin sheath, then we call it as myelinated. If they do not have myelin sheath, then we call it as unmyelinated. Clear up? Okay. Now, coming to the next one, that is based on the type of dendrites and axon. How many dendrites are present or axons are present? We have specially 5 types of neurons. First one is multipolar neurons. First one is multipolar neurons. Then we have bipolar neurons, unipolar neurons, pseudo-unipolar neurons, and then apolar neurons. Okay, based on the type of dendrites and axon present, or based on number of dendrites and axon present, we have multipolar, bipolar, unipolar, pseudo-unipolar and apolar neurons. Now coming to multipolar neurons, if the neuron has many dendrites and one axon, then we call it as multipolar neurons. What are multipolar neurons? The neurons, if they have many dendrites and one axon, then we call it as multipolar neurons. Where these multipolar neurons are present? They are mainly present in the cerebrocortex. Multipolar neurons, they are present in the spinal and cranial nerve. Okay. Spinal and cranial nerve. They are mainly present in the spinal and cranial nerve. Then we have bipolar. What is bipolar neurons? Yes, they have the neurons which consist of one dendrite and one axon. Okay, one dendrite and one axon. Okay, then we call it as bipolar. They will be having one dendrite, cell body and one axon. Okay, one dendrite and one axon, then we call it as bipolar. And they are present in the region retina of our eye and olfactory region. Retina of the eye and the olfactory region. Retina of the eye and olfactory region. Olfactory, nose. Okay, nose region. Olfactory region. Clear, Vishnu? What is multipolar? Many dendrites and one axon. And where it is present in the cerebral cortex or spinal or the cranial nerves. Then we have bipolar with one dendrite and one axon. Where is it present? Retina or in the olfactory region. Then we have unipolar neurons. These unipolar neurons, they do not have dendrites. They have only axon. Okay, axon mata, they do not have dendrites. Okay, we call it as unipolar neurons. Okay, they consist of, no, they do not have dendrites, they have only axon. Then we have yes, it is present only in the embryonic stage. Okay, only in the embryonic stage. Unipolar neurons, they are present only in the embryonic stage. They are present only in the embryonic stage. Clear? Okay, then we have pseudo-unipolar. These are kind of unipolar. That means they have a cell body and they have an axon. But from the axon, they will be having number of branchings. Okay, so we can say they are unipolar, but they are not true unipolar. So you call it as pseudo-unipolar neurons. Okay, pseudo-unipolar neurons, and it is present in the cerebrocytes and gangliocytes. Where are they present? Cerebrocytes and gangliocytes. Is it clear? Cerebrocytes and gangliocytes. Okay, that means they are having only one axon, but from the region of cell body there arises a branch. So you cannot say as true unipolar. So you call it as pseudo-unipolar neurons. Clear? Okay. Then we have apolar. In the lower organism, they will be having just a type of neurons, but they do not have proper axon or dendrites. Okay, they either do not have proper dendrites or axon, so you call it as apolar. Especially it is seen in Hydra. I mean, network of neurons without the proper dendrites or axon. We call it as apolar. Okay, and it is present in Hydra. Apolar. It is not having any dendrites and axon. That apolar. It will be there in the axon. In the Hydra. In the Hydra. Clear? Okay. This is about the neuron. Okay, we have studied about neuron. Now, tell me what type of neuron is it? Multipolar. It has many dendrites and one axon. It is a multipolar neuron. This diagram is important for 5 marks. It is repeatedly asked for 5 marks. Okay, important for the 5 marks. Okay. Coming to the next one. That is supporting cells. This is not given in your theory part or your NCRT, but you should know which are the supporting cells. Okay, because it is basic to know that which are the supporting cells along with the neurons. Okay, theory purpose they won't be asking, but in a competitive part they surely ask about it. Okay, now we have different supporting cells in the central nervous system as well as peripheral nervous system. We have different supporting cells. Coming to the first one, they are astrocytes. They are astrocytes. They are the star-shaped cells that is present in the central nervous system. Astrocytes. They are the star-shaped cells that is present in the central nervous system. Coming to astrocytes, they are the star-shaped cells present in the central nervous system. These astrocytes, they help in the formation of cerebrospinal fluid. Okay, what is the main function? We know that blood do not enter the brain. Breathing enter agudilla, just the cerebrospinal fluid will enter. What happens up to astrocytes? Listen here, up to astrocytes the blood moves. Here there will be astrocytes. And these astrocytes, okay, they filter the blood and they form cerebrospinal fluid. It helps in the formation of cerebrospinal fluid. Only the cerebrospinal fluid enters the brain and it is circulated. Blood enter agodilla cerebrospinal fluid. That filter ಮಾಡ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ help ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ ಯಾವುದು ಈ astrocytes. That is why we say this astrocyte act as blood-brain barrier. That means it acts as a barrier that prevents the entry of blood. Okay, that helps in the formation of cerebrospinal fluid. But that if these are astrocytes, they act as blood-brain barrier. Blood enters up to astrocytes. From there, the cerebrospinal fluid only gets filtered and it will be circulated around the brain. Yeah, that is why we say they are the blood-brain barrier. It is important. They are called as blood-brain barriers. Clear? Okay. Along with this, we have macroglia. These are supporting cells are also called as glial cells. Glial cells. Supporting cells are also called as glial cells. Like astrocytes. These astrocytes, you know the function of astrocyte, formation of cerebrospinal fluid and they act as blood-brain barrier. Okay. Then we have macroglia. They are the macrophages of central nervous system. They are the macrophages of central nervous system. What is the function of macrophages? Phagocytic, or in simple, you can say phagocytic cell. If there is any infection, okay, that is engulfed, or any pathogen entering, that will be engulfed by this macroglia. Okay, they engulf and they kill this pathogens. Okay, they are the macrophages cell, or they are called as phagocytic cell. Is it clear? Phagocytic cells. Okay. Okay. Coming to the next one, we have oligodendrocytes. I have already told the function of oligodendrocytes. What is the function of oligodendrocytes in central nervous system? Formation of adipose tissue or myelin sheath. It helps in the formation of myelin sheath. In the central nervous system, we have oligodendrocyte that helps in the formation of myelin sheath. That helps in the formation of myelin sheath. Clear? Oligodendrocyte. Along with that, we have ependymal cells. Sorry, we have ependymal cells. Ependymal cells. In the brain, we know there are 4 ventricles. Okay, 2 are in the forebrain, 1 in the midbrain, and 1 in the hindbrain. There are 4 ventricles. Along these 4 ventricles, there are ciliated columnar epithelial cells. The ventricles it has ciliated columnar epithelial cells. they are called as ependymal cells. Okay, along the ventricles of the brain, they have ciliated columnar epithelial cells, ciliated columnar epithelial cells, which are called as ependymal cells. Their main function is they help in the movement of cerebrospinal fluid. Okay, cerebrospinal fluid anna move aglike. The movement of cerebrospinal fluid, the ciliated columnar epithelial cells will be helping. They are called as ependymal cells. Clear? Movement of cerebrospinal fluid. They help in the movement of cerebrospinal fluid. Clear? These are the supporting cells present in the central nervous system. Now coming to supporting cells are the glial cells present in the peripheral nervous system. There is only one, that is Schwann cell, that helps in the formation of myelin sheath. Okay, peripheral nervous system, there is only one, that is Schwann cell. They help in the formation of myelin sheath. Is it clear? I repeat, glial cells in the central nervous system, they have astrocytes, which helps in the formation of cerebrospinal fluid, or they act as blood-brain barrier. Then we have macroglia, they are the macrophages or cells of central nervous system, or they have phagocytic property. And then we have oligodendrocyte, they help in the formation of myelin sheath in the central nervous system. And when we have ependymal cells, they are ciliated columnar epithelium present in the ventricles of brain and help in the movement of cerebrospinal fluid. Then in peripheral nervous system, they have Schwann cells that helps in the formation of adipose tissue or myelin sheath. Okay, here we complete with the structure of neuron. In the next class, we will be studying about generation and transmission of nerve impulse, and then we will be studying about the structure of brain, where we wind up with this chapter. Okay, because the reflex action will be cancelled, and our sensory or sense organs like eye, and ear, that is also reduced from your syllabus. That is why we complete with the structure of brain. Thank you.
Huh?